Welcome to the Jerry and Dre Show. I'm your host, Dre.
I'm your boy, Jay.
And as always, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. This time we want to change it up a little bit from the typical and touch on something that's very important to a lot of us. Talk about parenting a little bit. Talk about some of the challenges we've had.
Yeah.
Continue to have. Some of the things we tried to combat those things and solve those problems, and just kind of discuss our parenting experience.
I know one of the biggest things I've faced parenting is discipline. You know, it's a fine line these days with parenting. I come from the school of corporal punishment. You know, and for lack of better words, that's frowned upon in our generation. So my initial, and not only is it frowned upon, but our generation tend to be a little bit more educated than our parents were, and most educated people say you shouldn't. That's not good to do physical contact with your kids or whatever. So I tried that approach, and that's how I initially started raising my eldest, and I quickly found out that it came to certain points where a little bit of corporal punishment was needed, and it made a difference. It changed behavior. Not even close to what we experienced growing up. And I don't feel anything wrong with it, but just not as what we experienced growing up. But I do believe that it has a place. I also believe that it's a place for talking and just, what they call conscious discipline. Getting the child to understand what they did wrong and why it's wrong and what they can do to change that type of behavior. That's also good too. But it's a balance, man, and every kid is not alike. One kid I have, if I do this, he's going to cry, he's going to straighten up. Another kid I have, I'm gonna have to come on here, gotta pull his collar a little bit. So there's no one size fits all. And to keep it real with you, every once in a while, me and my wife look at each other like when our kids come to us with a problem or something happens and we try to figure out what's the proper action to take. We look at each other after they leave and we say, man, we're winging this, right? Like we're kind of just, well, hey, man, that's part of it.
Yeah. For myself personally, one of the big things for me, for my particular situation, has been staying connected through all the change that has been present in Leon and I's lives. There's been a lot of things that's changed, from divorce to changing relationships, so on and so forth. And there have been times where my son has come to me and broken down, so to speak. And so for me, one of the biggest things for me was always letting my son know, like, all this that happened, and don't ever think anything is your responsibility or cause because of you. And just let him know that, like, Daddy love you. Like, you come to Daddy about anything. You talk to Daddy for anything. Like, I'm available for you. And that's been one I made progress on, but honestly, I'm still figuring out.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough, especially co-parenting from different areas. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you something else. Sexuality, man. Like, my oldest kid is 6, so this is gonna sound kind of crazy. But he had a little boy on the football team that was very, very feminine. Very feminine. And, the kids, they're like first grade, man, so they were laughing and they kind of not making fun of him, but they know he's a little different. But I don't think they're quite sure why he's different. They just know he's different. Trying to explain to him it's not cool, to make fun of him. He's like, okay, all right, Okay, I understand. So the same little guy was at my house before a game one time, and he like had my wife's pocketbook or something, and my son like was imitating the behavior, and I was like, oh, now you don't do that. But he's looking at me. On one hand, you were telling me, this is okay. He's not any different than us. He's different, but there's nothing wrong with it. On the other hand, you're telling me, don't follow this. So what is it? Like, he's not saying that, but he's kind of like, I'm confused. And then on the flip side of that, we have this word called toxic masculinity. And I seen a girl post on Facebook, if your little boy has on heels, why would you take them off? Now, I don't care what anybody says. I believe it's a way that a man behaves. I'm trying to turn my little boy to becoming a man. There's certain things I will not let him do until he comes to the age where he is a man. Then he can make his own decision. Whatever decision he makes from then on, I'm still gonna love him. But it's my household. I'm gonna raise my children like I see fit. But it's just, you got to be careful with that, because you don't want to get into homophobia. You don't want to get into, it's just, that's tough, man. Trying to find that balance.
No, and I understand that, and this is one of the things, man. That and homophobia are two different things to me. When someone says, "Oh, why would you have a problem with your little boy if he put on his mama's heels or put on certain things?" Like, that exactly like you said. There's certain characteristics of a man that, as long as I'm involved in his rearing, I'm gonna enforce and I'm gonna try to groom him towards. If he gets to a certain point where he decides he wants to do certain things, then fine. That's all you, and I love you regardless. But to say that something like that is homophobic is something completely different, because that's me saying that I don't want my son to display himself as something that he may not be at an age where he doesn't even understand what it is. And for you to say that I'm homophobic because of that to me, I think you're really missing the point of that word. Because honestly, if you're a homosexual, do you. As long as you're happy, do you. I'm perfectly unbothered by it at all. Like, my whole thing, especially at this point in my life, is trying to find personal happiness. So
that's it, man.
If for someone, they find someone and it happens to be another man or another woman of the same sex, and that person makes them happy, I truly wish them the best, and I wish that they get the most fulfillment out of that relationship possible. But with that being said, I can be for my son behaving and presenting himself a certain way and not be against someone having that type of relationship. Those are two completely separate and distinct things.
Two different things. It's like one time I was in Langston, my son, they were watching like a rap video or something, and it got a hold of it, and he was rapping. They was like, hey, what y'all doing? Like, what are y'all doing? He's and I'm like, nah, man, don't do that. I don't see that as being any different, personally. So, but
now
it's one of those things about parenting, man. It's hard, and matter of fact, the older that they get, the harder it's going to become. Another thing is making sure you and your significant other are on the same pages with things like discipline, with things like what you're teaching kids, with things like spiritual beliefs. What are you going to embed in the kids? I'm of the belief that we go to church, but I have different types of spiritual beliefs, and I'm not going to embed, for lack of better words, Christianity into my children. Like, I believe it's a higher being and a higher power. I call him the Most High, and their relationship with them, so on and so forth, that's going to be them. But as they get older and they start questioning things like that, that's going to be something I'm gonna struggle with too. And to be honest with you, man, one thing about parenting, it's a blueprint for it, but there's not any one concrete way to do it, man. It's just
there's no owner's manual
Yeah,
to
there's
the
no owner's
kid,
manual, man. You know.
One of the things that I kind of struggled with a little bit at one point was imitation, and honestly, I'm not surprised at all because from how I learned by imitating my grandfather and my father. So for my son to have that same characteristic, it doesn't surprise me at all. It's just I really have to be cognizant that my son is always watching. Like I remember one time I was telling him to clean up the house, whatever. He had his toys everywhere. I messed around, slipped on something, hit my foot, cause you know.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, that's a new word of the day.
Kids are gonna pick up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You know, I feel like if it had been some long complex word, you probably would have heard it and let it go. But it's like they subconsciously know.
This is a word I'm not supposed to know, but I know it now. Man.
And it's a struggle, you know, just keeping that good example for them at all times. And you know, one of the things that they touch on the spirituality aspect of it, I'm not trying to ingratiate my son into any particular religious dogma, but I am trying to show him and give him the tools to help cultivate his relationship with God. Mm-hmm. In terms of that in my life, I feel like it was my grandfather that actually had the most to contribute to, because a lot of Sundays I ended up going to him with revival and going with him to service and things like that. So there were certain things that he taught me, like fasting, praying, how to get certain responses and how to provoke God at. Those are the type of things that I'm trying to teach him and trying to pass down to him.
That's fact, man. And then from there, it's like, you know, I got a saying, man. I coach basketball, and I tell my team, listen, man, I'm going to give you the framework, but you're going to put in the water. Yeah. And that's basically what you're saying. I agree with that. Like, I believe we should give our children a framework for how to conduct themselves as men. I have boys. He has a boy, too. How to run a business. Spiritual type things, like I said, prayer and fasting, understanding that it is the Most High God. But from there on, you cultivate that relationship. You know what I'm saying? And another thing I was going to say that sometimes I ain't gonna say struggle with, but it's being instilling excellence, but not being overbearing. Meaning, you know, like Isaac came home with a 92, maybe 91 in the class. Mm-hmm. And now that's an 8, you know what I'm saying? So, but I told him, I said, I think he can do better. And my wife, like, you know, we were talking to him. She looked at me like, but, you know, when I was growing up, a 94 was the lowest 8. And I believe when you're in the first grade, I mean, you sit and listen to the teacher, and we do all this homework with them. You know, some children don't have that. You know, not lucky to have that, and I understand, but we do all this homework with them. Like, nah, son, you can do better, and I know you can do better. Like, I looking at your grades, you're making silly mistakes. You know, you're missing one question, 1 or 2 questions, just by not paying attention, reading the question too fast, little things like that. But also, you know, I don't want him to get to the point where he feels like, if I'm not perfect, I failed. That's tough for me. Just that line of excellence. Be excellent now. Be great. Everything you do, like Uncle Mike said, everything you do it right. Be good. Be smart. Be intelligent. Be respectful. Be all these things, you know. Excellence. But, you know, it's just hard, man.
No, I understand what you mean, because that, honestly, that was one thing that it took me a while to understand with my own father, because I told the story one time before. Like, I remember we went to an open house, and it was like the beginning of the year. And at that point, I had like 4 or 5 tests, and all my grades were 90 and above, but I didn't have any hundreds. And like you said, with the situation with Nas, like one of them, one of them, like I got a point off because I was writing so fast it kind of became illegible, but the teacher gave me like half credit because she got the gist of what I was trying to say. But you know what I'm saying? And it was things like that. And I remember my pops, he basically was like, yo, you can, there's so much more in you.
That's right, that's fact.
And, you know, growing up at that particular age, I was just thinking like, man, you know, I'm busting my butt. Like that's, you know, I'm thinking like, yo, I gave all I could give. But being older, and as I was growing older, getting up to the later grades, I reflecting back, it's like, you know what? I see what he was saying. He was just trying to push me to be better. And honestly, the thing about it is, I think it's more of a, with my approach to my son, there's more of an expectation. And whatever your result you get is your result. But I know what you're capable of because everything that I ask of you, I ask you to demonstrate to. And you demonstrate to me. You demonstrate it back to me, and you demonstrate your understanding of it. And I know that you know it at that point. And at that point, you've got it. You've got the lesson. So when you fail to demonstrate the lesson to someone else, you know,
I got a problem with it.
Exactly.
I know you can do it. That's a great way to put it, Dre. I like how you put that, man. That was very eloquent. Exactly, man. It's like in sports. You know, it's funny because, like I said, I'm coaching. I coach 6 and 5-year-olds football, right? But now I'm coaching 14 to 15-year-olds or 15 to 16-year-olds JV basketball. And I yell at them sometimes, hey, and some of the kids are like, it's shut down. And I've learned I had to dial it back because I'm very intense. And I'm very loving, but I'm very intense. But it's like, you know, some of the kids, and no disrespect to any woman, because I was raised by a single mother, but I realized that they never had a father figure that's for what we call it down south, getting in behind, that's what we call it. You know, and my son, you know, he on the football field, he's Isaac, but okay, Daddy. He know, like, I gotta get it done. I just gotta get it done. So he's gonna be better for that. My uncle did that to us. I call that mental toughness, mental preparation, mental toughness. And you know, but that's another thing, man. It's a balance. It's a tightrope you gotta walk. And I wish I was like my uncles and, you know, our uncles. They were like, we're gonna tell you how it is and not how it should be. We're gonna tell you how it is, yeah, not how it should be. And not how you wanna hear it. And if you don't like it, so what? But you better do it the way we said it. But I try to be a little bit more understanding than that, but you know.
Well, that's interesting. I actually got a question for you because for so many folks, especially folks that are in situations where they don't have a father figure present, a lot of times that coach figure and that time that they
turn
have,
to a father.
Yeah,
Fact. Like,
yeah. So how is it,
man,
when you find yourself in that situation where a child may be looking to you for, I guess you would say, a little bit more guidance or attention than just the immediate sport itself, or even through the sport?
Yeah, I'm starting to see. I got a couple guys on my team now. It's like, you know, hey man, why you got your head down in class? You know, oh, what's your grades like? I got a C. Man, you're better than a C. Man, they never heard things like that. And it's Mr. James, I got a B. Mr. James, you know, look, Mr. James, how I'm dressed today. Mr. James, I got a suit like you. You know, Mr. James, you know, a student, like we was shooting around yesterday, and a mother on the team asked a player a question, and the player was across the court. He said, "What?" And another student, and one of the other players was like, "Man, you know what, Coach? Man, you gotta say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, man, be respectful." And things I'm preaching centered around basketball, but it's squared around life. And they are starting to pick that up. And honestly, man, my coach from college, Coach Acock, he said one saying that stick with me for two sayings. Make this your big time. Meaning, yeah, we played at a D2 college, but this is our Notre Dame. This is our University of South Carolina. This is our Clemson. treat it big time, put the work in. Like Uncle Mike said, you're gonna do it right. And also, he used to say, 5 seconds of foolishness, it costs you 20 years of trouble. And that's in my mind to this day. So a coach definitely plays fatherly type of role for a lot of our athletes, a lot of our young men in today's society. Yeah. So, dope topic though, man. Dope topic.
To wrap it up, what would you say was the biggest hurdle that you faced and overcame in parenting?
Understanding that my kids are individuals, that they're not me. Certain things came easy to me, certain things do not come easy to them, and that I have to come up with an individualistic plan for parenting. Point blank, period. Some kids need more corporal punishment. Some kids need more talking. Some kids, one of my, I can yell at them. Other ones, I gotta rub them on the back. But if nothing else, you will be. I tell my 3 boys. I got one that's a baby, but I'm telling them too. And anybody that's around me, you will be kind. You will be respectful. You will have manners. Those are non-negotiable. Now, sports and depending on your cognitive ability and different things, we might have to quirk those. My expectation for your grades, different type of things you might have to quirk depending on how old you get, and I kind of see how the way you develop. But manners, respect, and being kind, just a good person, non-negotiable. Yeah.
I understand. For me, and this might sound a little weird, but just follow me. I actually was learning and listening to my child. When he was first born, I had all these plans like, we could do this, we could do that, it's gonna be like this, it's gonna be like that. And some of my interests weren't necessarily things that he gravitated
I'm
to.
individualistic, man.
And and the weird thing about it is, like, I've sat and I listened to a pastor one day. He was saying how to basically take notice of your child and the things that they gravitate to when they think nobody's around, when they're just kind of by themselves. And it's really weird because now I'm starting to notice, like, I started back sketching and drawing about 6 months, maybe a little less than a year ago. It's one of the things that brought me peace, but one of the things I've noticed is he saw one of my drawings one day that I just happened to have my book open, and I've noticed that he keeps coming back to it. He keeps sketching and doodling himself now. So it seems that art is something that he's gravitating towards, and giving him the tools and the things to kind of nurture that and explore that and see if that's something that he likes and wants to pursue deeper is something that I've been experimenting with, and it's one of those things that it was a really big learning process for me, because it's kind of like you get rebuked when it's like hold up, you don't like what?
Yeah, man.
What's wrong with you?
It's like Isaac. I know he about to go. My oldest, everywhere I go, he wants to go. Football, basketball practice, he wants to come. Basketball game, he wants to come. Langston, I stay home, Daddy. Isaac likes basketball, football. My 2 main sports I play. Langston, he really, really likes soccer. And what I'm learning is I can't force him to do anything. I just have to be a good parent and be watchful.
And I guess in conclusion, I'm pretty sure this will be something we come back to touch on in one form or another at another time. But in conclusion, man, the biggest thing I can say in terms of parenting is nobody's got this thing 100% figured out. Our parents didn't have it 100% figured out. Nobody does. But the biggest thing I can say is, if for nothing else, just be there for your kids.
I was gonna say that. Be present, man. Be present. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Be present, man.
If you're there, everything else will work itself out. I'm a firm believer in that.
Thanks.
Anything else you want to end it off?
Nah, man, I'm good. Once again, I'm your boy Jake.
I'm Dre.
Hey, man, peace.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me.